This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
The Mishnah in Ovos. The Mishnah in Ovos, Perek Aleph, tells us, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel loymeh, al shloisha dvorim ha'olam kayim. There are three things that the world stands on, and one of them is Emes. I want to speak Be'ez Hashem tonight about a topic which I believe is a very chashuv topic. It's a topic that unfortunately people don't know too much about. Often people think this is a chumrah, it's a nice thing to do, it's a nice midah to have. But as we'll see Be'ez Hashem from the Maimon Chazal and the various Marmakoimis that we'll say, we're dealing with a very, very, very serious thing of Emes and Sheker. The Gemara in Sanhedrin, Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph, tells us that there are four groups that of people that are not zoicha to mekabel the Shechina. That means there are four people that do not have the schus of receiving the Shechina. Says the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph, one of them is someone that lies. Someone that does not say the truth. The Aruch HaSadikim writes, when he writes all the midas of Emes and Sheker and other things as well, the Aruch HaSadikim says that people that lie are not even believed when they actually say the truth. The Reishis Chachma brings down, and we'll see a Gemara about this, that the Churban Habayis, the reason that we do not have a Beis HaMikdash, unfortunately we're living in a generation with so many tzaras, we have no way of helping them, we have no way of becoming better in a serious manner, and the reason is because we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. And why don't we have a Beis HaMikdash? Says the Reishis Chachma, again we'll see in a moment the Gemara in Shabbos this way, that the reason that the Churban, the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, was because of lying. The Gemara tells us in Tainis Daf Ches Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, that if a person speaks Emes, when a person speaks the truth, he brings Shefa down to the world. And in fact, the Gemara tells us, Ruach Chochma Chachamim Noiche Emenu. The Chacham are happy with him. Yaakov Avinu, we're learning the parashas, Bereshis now. We're going through all the Sifrei of Bereshis. Yaakov Avinu, we know, was very makpid to only speak the Emes. And Chazal tell us that because of that, he was zoicha to have the 12 Shvatim. Tremendous, tremendous chus. The Chasima of the Rebbeinu Shalom is Emes. And on the other hand, we have a Gemara in Sanhedrin, Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph, that says, Kol HaMachlif B'diburoi Ki'ilu Oived Avodah Zarah. That when a person says something that's not correct, and we're so easy with our words, we speak things just because it just comes off the tip of our tongues. We're not makbid, we're not careful, we're not sensitive. And we're not talking about other people's feelings. Because until now, in the previous shiurim, we've discussed how careful we have to be when dealing with our fellow friends, how careful we have to be on nos dvorim, how careful we have to be on the words that we say. They should be clean. But now we're talking about something completely different. Now we're talking about a person for himself. We have to watch the words that you say. Because if a person speaks sheker, says the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Rabbi say it's a chazal. This is not chumras. This is not midas chasidus. This is serious stuff. Says the Gemara, someone changes his words, he lies. That's not the way of a yid. That's not the way of a from yid. The Gemara in Shabbos, Kuf Yitesam Abbei says, the reason why Yerushalayim was destroyed is because we don't have people of truth anymore. People that speak the Emes. People that speak the truth. And in fact, the Rambam also says something else. We have to be careful with our kids. Something very, very important. The Rambam says you have to be careful to teach your children to say the Emes, right? Everyone knows you go to an amusement park, right? You go to an amusement park and everyone knows you don't pay under a certain age. Let's say it's 3. So you tell the kid, you're not really 3, you just became 3. This way you can get in free, right? What are you doing? You're teaching your children to speak sheker. And then you wonder how 10, 20 years down the line, the kid does all sorts of things that are not correct, whether it be in business, whether it be with his family, whether it be all sorts of things. Why? Because when he was 2.5 years old, you trained him well that he has to say the sheker. And I'm not going into do you have to pay, do you not have to pay, ask a dayan, it's choshemish, but that's not the point. The point is, we're so easy to just say sheker. That you're eating supper and you don't want to answer the door. It's a ganze shaila in the poskim. Someone knocks on the door, tell the kids, tell them I'm not in. What are you teaching them? Could be you can say to the children, tell them I'm not available, I'm with the kids right now, I'm eating supper, that's fine. But to teach the children to lie, and then you wonder all the way down the line what happens to the children. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zatzal, was once walking in a cheder. So he walks out the door of the cheder, and he sees that the mezuzah was very low down. So he looked at it, he stopped a minute, and he said, why is the mezuzah so low? They said, because we want the children to be able to walk past and kiss the mezuzah every time they go past it. If it's too high, they won't be able to reach it. Small little children. Rabbi Yaakov smiled, said, that's very cute, but put it higher. We don't teach children sheker. It's very nice with all the kavanas and all the right things, and I have to go to the amusement park and you tell the child they're under 3 because otherwise it's a big mitzvah, I have to do it, whatever. All the cheshbonos in the world. But a person has to speak the Emes. A person has to learn to speak the words. And I want to tell you an amazing thing. I heard this from a mashkiach, Rav Noach Holovik Shlita. He said an amazing thing. He said, if you look at the words, look at the letters of Emes, and look at the letters of sheker, where are they placed in the Aleph base? The letters of Emes is Aleph, Mem, Tov. That means you've got one at the beginning, one about in the middle, and one at the end. Aleph, Mem, Tov, right? Emes. Sheker, on the other hand, Shin, Kuf, Reish, is all 3 letters close together, right there towards the end. Why? Because when something is Emes, you'll find it many, many times, and it can stand. Emes has one in the beginning, one at the end, in the middle. It's solid, it can stand, it can stay there as a kiyum. Sheker is wobbly. Shin, Kuf, Reish, right at the end over there. Can't really stand on its own. Hasn't got any kiyum. Because that's what sheker is. It's an amazing thing. And if you look how the Torah told us about sheker, and again, Rabbi said we're learning how to be sensitive about the way that we speak. I'm hoping Be'ez Hashem, after all these shiurim, apart from learning all the wonderful Maimakoimis and Maimah Chazal that we have on this, but we should be a little bit careful how we speak to other people and to ourselves. If we look at the way the Torah says, and again, here we have a chiyuv in the Torah, the mitzvah in the Torah, midvar sheker tericha. Where do we find such a thing? Which other mitzvah in the Torah do we have? Distance yourself from it. If you look at everything else, it's don't eat chametz, and you have to keep Shabbos, and every halacha, every posek in the Torah is telling us an instruction what to do. Here it doesn't say don't lie. Could have said just don't lie. Very simple. It doesn't say that. It says midvar sheker tericha. Go very, very far away. Distance yourself, maybe perhaps more than other things. Because this is something that a person has to realize is very, very chashuv. And in fact, again, we're dealing with the mitzvah, we're dealing with the daraisa, something that comes from the Torah. Speaking sheker is not just a nice thing to do. It's a real thing. Rabbi Yonin Sharet Tshuva lists 9 categories of lying in order of severity. Look it up yourself. It's an amazing thing. There are 9 categories of lying. And in fact, Chazal tell us an amazing thing. Chazal say that when you get up to Shemayim, after 120 good years, and you worked hard, one of the first questions they're going to be asking every single person that enters is, were you honest in business? Were you an honest person? Were you an honest person to others? Were you honest to yourself? Were you real? Or was it all sheker? The Sefer Hasidim says that if a person speaks Emes, this is such a choshev thing, we've spoken about this a few times already. We need so much. We want tefillah because we want this, we want a refuah shaleba for that person, and we want parnasa for that person, and we want a shidduch for that person, we want children for that person. We've got so many requests, and we ask for it. We speak it out, right? Tefillah is very choshev. Says the Sefer Hasidim, if a person speaks Emes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will listen to him in Shamayim. And this is perhaps something we've explained previously, that the tzaddikim are listened to in Shamayim. When a tzaddik says a bracha, why is it that it has a kiyum? Why is it that it's fulfilled? And the reason is because he speaks the Emes. Because when someone speaks the Emes, their mouth is pure. And when that same mouth asks for something, then he gets it. So it's another maila of a wonderful thing. In fact, the Sfarim bring down that to acquire the mid of Emes is quite difficult. There are many, it's a vast halacha. And there's very few people that actually do it. However, say the Sfarim HaKadoshim, that if a person sees that you're trying, and you want to get there, you're trying whatever you can to only speak the Emes, wow! There's another misconception as well. People think the Emes and sheker is only if somebody actually gets hurt. For example, I can't say a sheker if someone's going to get hurt by it. That's not nice, right? I'm saying something that's a sheker, and he is going to be hurt by it. His business, his shidduch, whatever it may be. Chazal tell us there's no enough community if this guy's going to be hurt or not. Saying a sheker is be'etzem osa. We have to train ourselves to speak the truth at all time. And this is so negated to many, many things. In fact, the Chazal tell us, it's a Gemara be'etzem Shvuos, Laman Aleph Om Aleph, where the Gemara says that lying does not only apply to speech, Lying applies to writing as well. I had a fellow that I knew from England. So he told me he quit his job. And he was actually unemployed for about 6 to 8 months, which was quite difficult. He had a young family to support. He quit his job. So I said to him, why do you quit your job? So I'll tell you the truth. I worked in a certain company, and they were messing with the insurance details and with the dates and with all sorts of fishy business over there. But everything wasn't, nothing was right. Nothing was saying. It was all written down on the computer. It was all emails and, typing different things. But he said, I cannot be in such a place where everyone is so shakua, so immersed in sheker. And he gave up his job. He had a young family, I think it was 2 children at the time. And he gave up his job. He was unemployed for somewhere between 6 and 8 months until he got another job. He said, I just cannot be in such an environment. That's an Emes. That's somewhere where the sheker bothers him. It's not something that's just not nice to do. He can't live that way. That's something that we have to understand. And writing is the same thing. You write an email, you write a fax, you write a WhatsApp, whatever it is that you're writing, a text message. You write sheker is exactly the same thing. We have to train ourselves to be people of Emes. In fact, the Gemara tells us, as we know, the Gemara in Bava Metzia that we're just learning now, the Gemara in Bava Metzia tells us that the Talmidei Chachamim that are allowed to lie in 3 situations. So we learn from there in many other places, there are certain times that you are allowed to lie. Right? And I don't want to go through all of them, but I want to give you some of the klalim. There are certain situations where you are allowed. One of them, as we know, is mipnei hashalim. How do we know it from? The Rebbeinu Shalom. Sarah, as we know, laughed when she heard she's going to have a child. And the Rebbeinu Shalom didn't tell Avram exactly those things. Because again, mipnei hashalim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed the truth. So sometimes you're allowed to change the truth mipnei hashalim. For example, one of the examples is if you want to try and make 2 people that are having a fight together, so you want to make them have, shalom, you want to make them come closer to each other. So you tell each one, oh, he really wants to make up. Right? That's the way of doing it. Right? Aaron HaKohen, that was Aaron HaKohen. Right? Ish HaSholem. Ganz Klal Yisrael mourned his death because he was an Ish Sholem. A person that's an Ish Sholem is a real person. The Gemara tells us in Ksubah Tafid Zayin, Kala Nova Chasuda, you're allowed to go and tell the Chosin, your wife, wow, she's unbelievable and she's so beautiful. The Aruch HaShulchan says in deeds, not in beauty, but whatever it is. You're allowed to do things with Bnei Sholem, make a person feel good. A person buys something, right? He can't give it back. So what are you going to do? You're going to tell him, oh, that's terrible. Why'd you buy that? That's disgusting. It's not nice. It's too expensive. You got ripped off. Whatever it is, without the shilas of Lashon Hara, it's a whole different shilah. We'll talk about that mitzvah next week. But stam, you're making the guy feel bad. So sometimes you're actually allowed to change the truth, even though it's true what you're saying. He got ripped off and it's taka bad and it's terrible and there's another one better down the street. But why tell him that? So change it. And tell him he got the best deal. And tell him he did good in what he got. And you make him feel a lot better. Good, you changed a little bit. But sometimes changing the Emes can be allowed for that reason. I'll give you another example. Famous shaila, right? You go to the airport and they say to you, right, did you bring anything that doesn't belong to you? Right? Did you take along something that's not yours? Is there anything in that suitcase that's not yours? Right? So there's a big shine in the poskim. Are you allowed or you're not allowed to say it? Many poskim hold that you are actually allowed to say that I didn't take anything, even if you did. Because they're asking if it's a security threat, and if you know that the person gave you something that there's no security threat whatsoever, a lot of poskim will make on that. I myself, many times, I remember one person, I was going to England one time for a short time, someone gave me a pair of glasses. He says his father needs a pair of glasses and he got the prescription over here. Please do me a favor, take the pair of glasses. So I opened it up, it was pretty clear it was only a pair of glasses, nothing else. So when they asked me in the airport, did anyone give you a package that doesn't belong to you? I said, yeah. They're like, whoa, nobody says that. I've never heard that one before. I said, sure, no problem. I pulled out the glasses, they opened it up, looked at it, Shalom on Yisrael, and they put it back. I'm not saying you have to do that. But there's nothing wrong with saying the Emes made a wonderful Kiddush Hashem at the same time. So there's certain times, yes, that maybe, I'll give you another example. Before Pesach, someone asked me an interesting shaila. He said he was taking matzah back before Pesach. Now, we take matzah back to England. Many people in England, America, they make here in Eretz Yisrael matzah of a chabura. Right? Or matzah, hand matzah, they make themselves in a chabura. It's all exciting. This is their matzah. They paid for it, they worked hard for it, they sweated for it, they want to take it back with them. However, if you write on the matzah box, matzah, fragile, and I'm not so sure they're going to care too much over there in the back of the airport tossing it around when it gets in all sorts of places. But if you write glass on it, ooh, they're going to treat their chashivas. So some poskim tell you're allowed to write glass. Because again, it's a sheker, but the point is that they're going to be careful. They'll be careful of glass, they'll be careful now of matzah. Right? So again, certain times, true. However choshev we're saying, the Emes is, but there are certain times you are allowed. In fact, There was one type of Hasidim that was so makbid in the middle of Emes and Sheker that when they would walk into the building, drenched, it was raining outside, pouring outside, storm outside, and they walked in drenched, and you would say to them, is it raining outside? They would say, it was raining a minute ago when I was outside. I don't know about now. No, you're there. I don't know. Okay, so maybe it's a Sheker. Maybe I'm saying something that's not the truth. And you'll look at yourself and say, oh, come on, these people. But the point is, yeah, I understand. Maybe it's a little bit over the top. But it's a mit of Emes. They're looking at the truth. Rabbi Sol Salanta didn't want to say a hesped on someone. They asked him many times, say a hesped. Rabbi Sol Salanta, the God Lador, say a hesped. I won't do it. Why? Because maybe I'm going to exaggerate. Maybe I'm going to say something that's not true. One time he agreed to say it, and he said the person was an halachic, and then he took it back and said, I don't know, I think he was an halachic. What do I know? What went inside his mind? Well, I don't know what went on over there. A person has to be so careful of the midah of Emes. It's something that's so tremendously choshev that we have to realize, and again we spoke about this. It's so easy for us, especially with ourselves and our families and our children, to say things that are convenient for us. Because at the end of the day, big deal. Rabbi Avi Kamenetsky, Mamash Ish Emes Ad Moed, told you the Maisa. He had tainas on a third grade Rebbe. Because when he was a young child, he came in late to Cheder. And when he came in late, the Rebbe said to him, why'd you come late? He said, I was busy, my mother needed me, whatever it was. The Rebbe said to him, liar, slapped him. And Rabbi Avi Kamenetsky for years later had tainas on this Rebbe. Not chas v'shalom a taina. But how can a Rebbe not believe who he was dealing with? Rabbi Avi Kamenetsky said, never in my life did I ever say a sheker. How can the Rebbe not believe what I said? In fact, Rabbi Avi Kamenetsky, I told you as well, didn't eat gebrachs. That's very interesting, because he was a Litvish Yid. Most Litvish Yidden do eat gebrachs. Chassidim generally are makbid. Why do you eat gebrachs? It's very simple. He was at somebody's house years ago. It was Pesach. And they offered him some food. Now, he didn't trust the hashkafa, didn't know exactly what was going on. Pesach, mishnish, whatever. So he said, listen, I don't eat gebrachs. I can't eat in your house. They said, oh, you don't eat gebrachs? Oh, okay, no problem. That moment onwards, he never ate gebrachs in his entire life. I said the words came out of my mouth, they have to be true. Rabbi Avi Kamenetsky was wearing Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, which again is very interesting. It's generally Hasidic Sheminik. How did that happen? So they asked him. And he said, and he was an old man at the time. He was an old man, didn't wear it his whole life. Only when he became old, he started wearing it. I asked him, what happened? All of a sudden, he became old, you wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, Mapshat. He said, very simple, when I was very, very young, people said to me, why are you not wearing Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin? The Chofetz Chaim wore Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. So he said, say that the Chofetz Chaim was 80 when he wore Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. When I'm 80, I'll also wear Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. 80th birthday, he wore Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin. A word of Emes is a word of Emes. A word that comes out of your mouth is a word of truth. And it's something we have to understand. It's something that we really have to work on. It's something that we have to be very, very choshev in. The Chofetz Chaim once came into a town. Amazing. He walked into the town, he had just witnessed first chelik of Mishabur and chelik Aleph and Orach Chaim. Yeah, quite a number of simonim, but one chelik of Orach Chaim. And you can imagine when the Chofetz Chaim walked into town, the signs go up, Tzadik Bola'ir, the Chofetz Chaim is here, wow, everyone's excited. The Chofetz Chaim goes over to one of the signs and he sees that they write over there that the Chofetz Chaim is Bala Machaber of a Sefer Mishnah Berurah on Orach Chaim. He wrote a Sefer on all Orach Chaim. The Chofetz Chaim crossed it out and he wrote on Chelik Aleph so far. Oh, come on, Chofetz Chaim, what's the big deal? No, it's not Emes. And if it's not Emes, I don't want it. They came to Rabbi Aaron Cutler from Lakewood, and they showed him a picture of the Lakewood Yeshiva. They were doing a big dinner and a whole sponsorship, and they had a whole beautiful brochure, whatever. And on the front of the brochure, they had a picture of the yeshiva. And they showed it to him to get his, his final remarks before they went to the print. He took it and he ripped it up. He said, what happened? He said, because there's 2 trees in front of the yeshiva. We only have 1 tree in front of the yeshiva, not 2. It's not Emes. The person can say again, come on, it's a picture. It's only a tree. But the answer is to a person that speaks, that lives Emes, that understands what Emes is, what it does to himself when he speaks of sheker, what it is, what it does to his neshama, what it does to the world. Then 1 tree does make a big difference. I want to end with one unbelievable maisa. Unbelievable maisa, this maisa. It's a true maisa. A father and son were walking down the road and they see a sign to give blood. Big mitzvah, Pikuach nefesh, people need it. There are people out there that they taka need it. So the father said to the son, you know what? Let's go and give blood. Let's do a good mitzvah. They're having a thing over there. Everyone's giving blood. Let's donate our blood. It's a big mitzvah. So they go over to the sign, and it says over there quite clearly on the sign that anyone under the age of 16 is not allowed to give blood, for whatever reason it is. Now the boy was going to be 16 in a week time. 1 week he'll be 16. You know, like the kids, they say, I'm almost 16. So the boys looked at his father. The father looked at the son. The father said, listen, you're not 16? Come on, Dad. I'm basically 16, right? I'm 16 another week. What's the big deal? My Hebrew birthday, my English birthday. I'm pretty much 16. Come on, it's okay. No, it says they're 16. I don't know why, but that's what it says. We're following the rules. We're not lying. You're not 16. You're not going to give blood. A mitzvah. Who cares? Emes is Emes. Rabbi said 2 days later. 2 days later. The boy was in a car. And he was involved in a car crash. Terrible car crash. He went into the hospital. He was in a bad state. The father got called in. Your son was in a car crash. Please come immediately to the hospital. He went to the hospital. He consulted with the doctor. The doctor said, I want you to know that your son lost a tremendous amount of blood in his accident. He said, they really lost a lot of blood. Why? You just know. 2 days ago, we're going to get. What? He gave blood? No, he didn't give blood. The doctor said, I'm telling you now, if he would have given blood 2 days ago, he wouldn't be on this world. With the midah of Emes, when a person speaks the truth, it saved his life. And Rabbi said, let's be sensitive. Once again, not to other people, but to ourselves. And let's learn that every word that comes out of our mouth must be the Emes. Has to be the truth. And Be'ez Hashem, if we do that, the Rabbeinu Shalom will give us siyata d'shmaya, and as we said in the beginning from Chazal, the Shefa will come down from Shamayim and will give us all the brachas. Be'ez Hashem Yisparach. Join us next week for more of the halachas of Kedush Zadeh.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.